why was there ever a Stone Age? Now, I looked it up real recently here, and they're saying that basically Stone Age was a period in which implements were made of stone. All right. So that's the Stone Age, and they said it existed, say, between 6,000 before the Christian era and 2,000, between 6 and 2,000 of the Christian era. And I would say no, because you don't go 6,000 before the Christian era, just 4,000, because at 2,000 we went into the Christian era, and you had 4,000 before that. The world was created 4,000 before Christ came. And yes, they were using stone implements and so forth. And they said this period lasted for roughly 3.4 million years. And that is amazing, basically, because there was no such a thing. However, this Stone Age rock that they found here, somewhere in the world, I think it's it doesn't necessarily say that there was a Stone Age. It was found in the Baltic. Stone Age found in the Baltic Sea. Now, why it would be in the Baltic Sea and under the sea? Because the sea has been rising. When the flood existed, and it happened almost 4,500 years ago, the water that was above the earth came down, and so the water levels rose, and so many civilizations, and the Garden of Eden would have been lower down. Adam and Eve would have died and buried under the water. That's why we can't find them. Methuselah, Adam, all the delusion, those before the flood, most of them might have been buried under the water. Though, I mean, they would have died. Those who died before would have been buried lower, but those who died in the flood, I'm sure that the water would have been on top of the water floating, and except God did something different. But what I gathered is that as the water began to recede, and God saw the ravaging, dead animals and the dead humans all scattered around there and looking real bad. So he caused a storm to come, and it sheared off mountains and sides of mountains and so forth, and created a kind of a mass grave. So some might have still, because you might find these big skulls of these big giants on hillsides, dinosaurs on hillsides, because they were running up. Well, it doesn't matter where they were running up higher, the water would have covered everything, so they would have still been on floating. But as the water began to recede, I guess it snagged on, and the wind blowing, it snagged on parts of the hill and so forth, and over time things have grown over them and so forth. I've seen some of these bodies, some of these big skeletons they found is not under a lot of ground, maybe just a foot, but it could have been they were excavating, and then at this point they dug down, must have seen the skull top and they dug down, so it looks as if maybe it's about 18 inches or a foot under the earth, but it might have been higher, an excavation site. So no, there was no big Stone Age as they're talking. This world is just 6,000 years. There was no Ice Age, no Stone Age, none of that stuff. Yeah, they were using tools, but not this 3 point something million and so on. And Ice Age hadn't existed before the flood, because there was no that amount of cold to create the frozen north and south. The water that was around the earth used to move around evenly and distribute the heat, so it was a cool temperature right across the world. But after the flood, you have these summer and spring and fall and winter and all that stuff. But before, you hadn't that. It was straight high spring, close to the summer, and just fall just before it gets cold. So it was, I'm not sure, I'm not familiar with much with this Fahrenheit thing. I would say maybe in Celsius grade, it might be in a comfortable thing, maybe 20 Celsius, between 15 and 20, something that you could be without clothes. Not necessarily that these folks were naked, but I'm saying that to say the type of temperature that was there, you're not sweating, nor are you freezing or getting cold. You're just right in there, right at the dew point. Yeah. So, yeah, Atlantis and all these things that are under the sea is nothing mysterious about it. It's just that people were living lower, and as the water came up, they had to come up higher. Now we're living on top of the mountains, and if water were to come higher, we end up living on top of Himalayas. But so far, the American land here, it was a plateau, but folks weren't living at this high; they were living lower down, and the world was just one connected country. Yep.